Welcome students, I am Kritika. I am the subject faculty in KALP Faculty of Education Institute, Shastri Nagar, and I take classes for UGC NET and JRF in Commerce and Management. The Commerce subject covers 10 subjects in paper 2, out of which one subject is Managerial Economics, and Managerial Economics itself has various topics. The topics include demand, supply, cost, production, revenue, market structures, capital budgeting, as well as macroeconomics. So we need to take care of all these topics so as to clear our exams in this subject. Fine. So for today, I'm starting with this subject, and I'll be taking your topic demand. So students, what is demand? Demand, we can say, demand is, in Hindi we can say mang. Fine. It comprises of three components. Three components are, it includes the first thing, that is desire to buy. अगर हम जब भी बात करते हैं डिमांड की, it always needs to have desire to buy. If I am not thinking of buying a commodity, then I'll for sure not demand it. So first one is desire to buy. Next one is ability to pay. We need to have that money to pay for that commodity. If I'm not having that money, obviously I'll not demand that thing. And next one, willingness to pay as well. Sometimes we have money, but then we are not willing to pay for that. So what is this? This will not constitute demand. So for demand to be completed, we need all the three elements, that is desire to buy, ability to pay, and willingness to pay. So these three components make our demand possible. Fine. So demand, when we come to the definition, according to the definition, we know that demand is the quantity of a commodity which the consumers are able and willing to buy at various possible prices during a time period. Fine. So generally we say demand is a function of price. Like we can say demand is a function of price. If we are talking about demand for commodity X, that means it is a function of price of that commodity itself. That means it is entirely dependent upon the price of that commodity. And as the price increases, quantity demanded decreases, and vice versa. That is, there is an inverse relationship between the two. The reason being, if we are getting something at cheap rates, we generally tend to buy more of it, and vice versa. If we are getting it at higher prices, then only we buy few units of that commodity. So it applies both. As price increases, quantity demanded decreases, and as price decreases, quantity demanded increases. So we can say there is an inverse relationship, or we can say negative relationship between price and quantity demanded. Now, this negative relationship is supported by the diagram itself. The curve for demand is always negative sloping. The reason being the same reason. For example, we come to the demand schedule. Demand schedule is the tabular representation of the quantity demanded as well as the price of the commodity. So tabular representation of price and quantity demanded of the same commodity. For example, the price increases from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. So same way the quantity will start declining. The quantity will vary like 4, 3, 2 and 1. This is what is showing the inverse relationship between the two. Now as we plot it in our diagram, students, you need to take care of the labeling as well while you are drawing a curve, graphical representation. So as price increases, quantity demanded decreases. That we need to show over here. And always remember, price is shown on the y-axis and quantity demanded in units is shown in the x-axis. Fine. So let us start plotting this. When the price was rupees 1, that means here the quantity demanded was 4, this way. Next one, when price rose to rupees 2, the quantity demanded declined to 3 units. Next one, as the price rose to rupees 3, the quantity demanded further fall, and it reached the level of 2, and finally when price reached 4, quantity demanded further fall to 1. So as we plot these plots, these points, we get our demand curve. So again, this is representing what I have told you. As price increases, quantity demanded decreases. Fine. So this is called my demand curve. So we have covered the topic demand, its definition, demand schedule, and its demand curve. Now, I have just told you that demand is a function of price, but it is always not just the price which affects the demand. There are other factors as well which affect the demand for a commodity. What else can be the factors? Let us come to those points. Demand is a function of various factors which affect the demand of that commodity. For example, demand for commodity X. Commodity X, which I am considering right now, is a function of, first point which I have already told you, that is, it is a function of price of commodity X. Fine. The same price of the commodity. What else? That can be price of substitutes. Substitute goods are those goods which can be used in place of each another. For example, Pepsi and Coke. If I am not able to get Pepsi over here, I'll prefer buying Coke. Obviously, Fanta and Mirinda, tea and coffee. If I am not getting tea, I'll say bring coffee. Fine. So price of substitute also affect the demand for commodity X. But we need to know the relationship between these two. If I am Pepsi and you are Coke, and the price of Coke rises, so obviously there is an inverse relationship. When the price of Coke rises, the demand for Pepsi will increase because Pepsi will be a cheaper product as compared to Coke. And since I am saying they are perfect substitutes, we can substitute it with Pepsi. Fine. So price of substitutes. Next one is price of complementary goods. Price of complementary goods. Complementary goods are those goods which are used together. For example, pen and ink. If I am not getting ink, obviously pen will not be of any use. Same the case, petrol and petrol cars. These are complementary goods. Fine. So, for example, the price of petrol rises. If the price of petrol rises, obviously the people will start shifting to other things, like diesel cars. So as price of petrol rises, people will start shifting to diesel cars, and hence price of the demand for petrol cars will decline. So there is again different kind of relationship between these two. Next one, the income of the consumer, which is represented by the symbol Y. Income of the consumer also affects the demand for a commodity. Generally speaking, it is always like whenever my income rises, I tend to purchase more of goods, and whenever it falls, or if I leave some job, obviously the demand for various goods will somehow fall. So hence there is a positive relationship between income and demand for commodity X. As income rises, demand for goods rises. Next factor that affects the demand is EP. EP is expected future price of the product. You might have seen the prices of gold were rising, and hence people were buying more of that gold because we knew that further increase in prices anticipated. So when further increase in price is anticipated, people generally buy more of that good in the present itself, even if the present price is higher. So we need to consider what will be the expected price of the product in the future, and according to that we see what would be the effect on that demand. So for example, if we say the price is expected to decline in the future, so what I'll do, I'll skip the demand for today and will think I'll buy the product tomorrow itself when the price will decline. Fine. So this is EP. Next we come to EY. EY, why I told you income of the consumer? EY is expected income of the future. expected income of the consumer in the future. So if I am expecting that that my salary or my income will rise in the next month, so obviously my expenditures or demand for various products will tend to rise from today itself, since I need to meet that increase in income with that demand. This is generally the case, and the normal kind of people generally prefer this. And if I am thinking my income source will get declined, or my income will get declined in the future, obviously the demand for goods start declining, which generally happens with us. And next one, T, that is taste and preferences. Taste and preferences of consumers again affect the demand for commodities. For example, if I am addicted to some product, let's suppose cigarettes. If I am addicted to cigarettes, so whatever may be the price of that cigarette, I'll prefer buying that cigarette. So taste. Since it is my taste, so I am demanding that commodity. And if in case, opposite case, I don't like smoking, I don't want people to smoke nearby me, so obviously I'll say I'll not demand that product, and I'll try that people also too don't buy that product nearby me or my relatives, and so on. So if I am addicted to something, or if I am preferring something over some other commodity, obviously I'll prefer that commodity over other commodities. And next one, A, that is advertisement. Advertisement also affects the demand of the commodity. The higher the level of the advertisement, the more will be the demand of that commodity, which generally happens, fine. And if no advertisement is there, that means people are not getting aware of the new products, so obviously the demand for that products would not be much. So that is why the companies which generally offer new products in the market, they prefer doing advertisement of that product rather than going without that. And there can be many more factors which affect our demand. So these all factors come under demand functions. That means these all factors affect the demand for a commodity. Fine. Next we talk of the exceptions to law of demand. There are certain cases whereby this law of demand does not operate. Why doesn't it operate? That means law of demand used to say that as price increases, quantity demanded decreases, and vice versa. But these are the cases in which as price increases, quantity demanded also increases, or as price decreases, quantity demanded also decreases. So if we want to know, it is not something which is mentioned in the books, but then if we want to know how would be the demand curve in these cases, obviously that would be a positive sloping downwards, because I am saying as price is increasing, quantity demanded is increasing. Fine. So exceptions to law of demand would cover all those cases whereby as price increases, quantity demanded decreases, and if price decreases, quantity demanded also decreases. Fine. Before starting with the topic, I just want to let you know the questions can be asked in the exams, like what is the relationship between price and quantity demanded according to the law of demand? They are positively related, negatively related, or any other can be the options. Fine. And questions can be asked from the demand functions as well. Which factor affects the demand for commodity in what way? For example, I told you as income increases, demand for goods increases. So hence there is a positive relationship between the two. So we need to take care of the relationship, and we need to understand these relationships of the demand functions with the demand, so that we get to know what type of answers can be done, can be given to such questions. Fine. So I am coming back to my topic, that is exceptions to law of demand. Exceptions to law of demand, again those cases whereby price increases, quantity demanded increases, or price decreases, quantity demanded also decreases. Fine. So let us come to the first point, that is Giffen's paradox. Giffen's paradox, which was given by Sir Robert Giffen, who was an Irish economist. he undertook a study on the poor people of Ireland, who used to have potato and meat for their food items. They had just two options of potato and meat as their food items. So what he studied, that potato was somehow a cheaper product and meat was obviously a costly one. If we compare the prices, potato is available around 20 per kg, hope so, and it may vary just few rupees more, and meat might be 200-300 per kg approx. I am not taking the exact prices, these are just the ideas. So he undertook his study on people of Ireland who used to have potato and meat as their food items. What he studied, as price of potato declined. Potato was earlier also a cheaper product and now its price has further fallen down. So as price of potato declined, people, instead of buying more of potato, shifted to meat. They shifted to buying meat. Why? Because potato was a cheaper product, but then people started comparing it that it is cheaper as well as inferior. That is why those products whose prices are falling and then also their demand is not increasing, those goods are called giffen goods. You need to understand that there is a difference between giffen goods and inferior goods. Right now I am taking example of giffen good. So I am just using inferior so as to let you understand what is this inferior and giffen. Fine. So Sir Robert Giffen, whose study said that as price of potato declined, people instead of buying more of potato shifted towards buying meat. So that is what is shown by the exceptions of law of demand. As I told you, as price declined, quantity demanded also declined, and here is the same case. As price of potato declined, people instead of buying more of potato shifted towards buying meat. Fine. So this was Giffen's paradox. Next we are coming to the second point of exceptions, that is Veblen's effect. There was a famous economist named Thorstein Veblen. Who gave the example of those people who generally buy goods just for their status symbol. This is called buying goods for show off, for status symbol, is called snob appeal or Veblen's effect or ostentation, or these are called status symbol goods. So there are few products which are demanded by consumers only when their prices are increasing. When their prices decline, they are no longer to be called these status symbol goods. For example, if I talk of diamonds, we generally listen that when the prices of diamonds are high, obviously they are of good quality. We buy a solitaire of rupees 1 lakh. What is that? That is just a status symbol good when we can also apply a jerkin as substitute for that. Fine. So Veblen's effects covers all those goods which are just for status symbol goods or show off or for snob appeal or ostentation. For example, here we can take example of goods like diamonds, wristwatches. Normal wristwatches might be available in the market for rupees 100, 200 or 300, but why we go for Swatch watches or why we go for branded watches Fast Track or Titan or so, because whenever anyone sees me, watches me wearing such a kind of watch, so I want that should be according to my status symbol. Why there is a need to buy luxury cars? Why a Lamborghini or limousine when we can fulfill our purpose in just a car of 4 lakh around? Fine. So all these type of goods come under wavelength effect. So diamonds, wristwatches, artistic paintings. Again, these cost amounts in lakhs. So again, these are again wavelength effect. So in this case, wavelength effect, as price increases, quantity demanded increases, and also if their price decreases, quantity demanded also decreases. So this was our second point of exceptions to law of demand. Next we are coming to the third point. Third point is expectation of future rise or fall in price of the product. For example, if I am saying that the price of this specific thing is going to rise in the future, so what will be the case? I'll consider if its price is going to rise in the future, so I'll buy more of it today itself, so that I don't need to spend it in the I don't need to spend that more amount in the future. Same the case with emergencies. In case of emergencies, you might have seen emergencies like floods, earthquakes, or whenever strikes, or whenever any red alert is given for any such things, what people generally tend to do, they go to market and buy those products like breads, water bottles, so that they can survive in such a condition when there will be no food available. So in that case also, the normally the bread is available for 15 to 20 rupees. The shopkeeper in such cases, that is in cases of floods, earthquakes or strikes, may charge rupees 50, 60 or 80 or any amount for those breads. The reason being, there is no possibility of instant production and there is a limited supply for the product. Fine. So in case of emergencies as well, people generally buy more of a product even when their prices are high. Next one is ignorance. Whenever people are ignorant to the prices of the products, then again they generally tend to buy more of it even if at higher prices. For example, if my mother tells me to buy a kg of tomato and I am not aware of the prices of tomato, so I might go to the vegetable seller and ask for 1 kg tomato, and obviously he might get an idea that I am not doing the bargaining or asking the prices, so he might charge me more prices. And me, just because of this ignorance of prices, I just saw that the tomatoes are very red, plus they are looking very good and fresh, so I might buy more of that even at higher prices. Might be the prevailing prices is rupees 20, but then he may ask me to he might ask me to pay rupees 30 for that, so I'll pay rupees 30 since I am ignorant of the prices. Fine. So these all are the exceptions which are for the law of demand. So this finally completes our topic, that is law of demand. So this was a lecture of managerial economics covering the topic of demand. Thank you students, hope you understood, and this was me from KALP Faculty of Education, Shastrinagar. You can refer to more lectures on studykhazana.com or kalpeducation.com. Thank you.